Maybe I will share from my computer. Sorry. Sorry. Jadi saya melanjutkan dari Pak Diki.
I will continue with the presentation given by Mr. Diki. I will just provide a bit of an update regarding the developments of the JCM and its implementation for its past several years. So the basic concept is, as we can see here, there are two countries, where in this case, Japan is one of the countries, one of the more developed countries, and providing sort of support or assistance, technological assistance. Sorry. In terms of financing and capacity building. That is realized in a project that is actually feasible to carry out in Indonesia. And then jointly, both countries develops an MRV, measuring, reporting, and verification, that is determined by a joint committee, which consists of representatives from both parties of the from both countries. And by implementing the MRV, it will produce an emission reduction that we call carbon credit that can be used for both countries in fulfilling the respective NDC's commitment. There are some main items out of these implementations that based on the scheme, it will facilitate it facilitates in diffusion of leading low carbon technologies, as well as systems, services, and infrastructure. And surely, this is to support mitigative action and also contribute to sustainable development in developing countries. This is the structure of cooperation, where we can see in the middle, we have the joint committee. And this consists of representatives from both countries that have a significant role in undertaking these, including setting the rules and guidelines, as well as registering the project, including also development of future JCM activities. And in doing their tasks and responsibilities, the joint committee is assisted by two secretariats in both countries. And if we look at the relations between the two countries in issuing the credits, and we can also see the role of the private sector as the project participants who implement the project and conduct monitoring activities. And what is also important is the third-party entity who will validate the projects and verify the projects so that the results of the reduction of emission reduction is credible, and it can actually be used to meet the emission reduction targets at the international level. And if we talk about, as I already mentioned earlier, regarding the financial assistance, now in GCM, there are three schemes. The first one is the model project. This is supported by the Ministry of Environment of Japan, and they will provide financial assistance up to 50%. And currently, there are 41 projects, and most of them implements energy efficiency and renewable energy. And there is a demonstration project. This is a project. These are projects that are supported by the Ministry of Economics, Trade and Industry and NEDO. However, this provides a subsidy of over 50%. But this is particularly for technologies that are truly new technology. Not only new in Indonesia, but it's actually something that is relatively new as a technology that is truly new. And there's the third model, which is sort of a trust fund managed by ADB as the single contributor from Japan. this is to complement the loans given to countries or projects related to ADB programs. As for the value, it's about 10%. 10% out of the incremental cost or the interest subsidy for ADB's loan. This is infrastructure. What it was already mentioned by Mr. Dickey, that to support JCM implementation, infrastructure has been developed quite comprehensively, and it also has international standards such as the ISO 14065, and there are some guidelines as well, starting from how you could create the PDD or project design document, and then the methodology, and how we can validate and conduct validation and verification, and even up to sustainable development implementation, as well as rules and procedures, and we have methodologies. So I'm sorry, this should be 24. And we have also developed a registry system that is prepared to be connected to the national registry, which in its development from the Ministry of the Environment, it's under development in the Ministry of the Environment. So this is something that I've already mentioned earlier. This is the broad detail of it. If you are perhaps already familiar with CDM or ETS, this is more or less the same. So starting from, we have the methodology, and then the drafting of the PDD, and then validation, and then monitoring and verification of the project, and approval of credit issuance. And if you compare this to CDM, from JCM, there's a flexibility in JCM where the validation and verification process can be done simultaneously under the same contract with the same verifier. Under the consideration that this is to accelerate and to be more cost effective, so that it can be done more feasibly for a project. This is the latest development. So in JCM, there are 44 projects undergoing, and there are over 120 feasibility studies that have been done, and 28 methodologies, and 44 projects, and 21 are still in the pipeline, while 23 have been registered, and 12 projects out of the 23 have been issued carbon credits. Now, in terms of the sectors, it's quite broad, starting from the automotive industry, and even the retail industry. There are some, perhaps 12 locations of convenience stores that receive subsidy from JCM. As for the technologies, it's also quite varied, and most of them are from energy efficiency, such as the chiller and boiler, as well as renewable energy, be it from water, biomass, or solar PV. And there's also a project, Tribid project. I will explain to you in the next slide. Now, aside from the project implementations that I have mentioned in the previous slide, through JCM, we also encourage city-to-city cooperations, where through such cooperation, there is a capacity building involved to support the cities in heading toward low carbon development. And currently there are 5 cities in Indonesia: Surabaya with Kyushu, Batam with Yokohama, and lastly is Jakarta with Kawasaki. And this is one of the example of a project on JCM, which is the perhaps there's one of the participants that will be explaining this in detail regarding the experience in running this project later. And secondly is a project in Semarang in Central Java, which is a bus transportation, and through GCM they have retrofitted the buses from diesel engines to CNG as fuel. And this is what I have mentioned. This is the tribrid system. This is to manage resources for the BTS in remote locations in Sumatra Island and Java and Kalimantan. And here, this is the cardboard project in Bekasi, or waste paper project in Bekasi, by using a series of system and infrastructure. This project has succeeded in reducing, in issuing carbon credit optimally, and it is estimated to reach 19,000 tons of CO2 per year. And this is a project in the automotive industry, in Toyota Motor Company, which implements cogeneration system. And that is all from me. Thank you very much for your attention.